Welcome everybody to today's pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading is all about Spirit's advice to you about where to focus your energy for your highest good. Where are there some areas in your life that you could either do more of something that you're doing or less of something that you're doing, or shift your focus or get more information so that you have the happiest and most productive and successful life possible. I'm going to ask Spirit for a couple of areas per reading, and it may be that they relate and it may also be that they're quite separate, so we'll see what comes up. You may also want to look at more than one reading if you feel drawn to it, because there may be more than two messages that Spirit wants to relay to you. So certainly if you do feel that, look at more than one reading. But beyond all of that, as always, it is really about connecting into the pile that most draws you. So the first pile has a rose quartz crystal on it, the second pile has a clear quartz crystal, and the third has a black obsidian. And we will look at anything from love to career to creativity to well-being to spirituality to health, whatever it is that Spirit thinks you most can benefit from hearing about right now to shift your energy and get a more positive vibration in general for yourselves. So if you don't yet know which pile or piles you want to go to, pause the video and tune in, and when you know, the timestamps for all the readings are in the description box below as always, and I'll see you in your reading. Welcome pile one. The structure of this reading to start with are the cards that were under the crystal that you chose to come to this reading, and each of these rows represent one of the areas of advice that Spirit wants to give you about energy shifts and positive benefits for your life. And then the center bit is what brings them together. And then we'll look at some tarot to get some more information on what's really going on with each of these. I do think for many of you they're probably connected, but I will talk about each of these separately and then talk about how this connects them and why I'm thinking that really what's happening here is flowing to here, but what's happening here can fix up a lot of what's happening here, and you'll understand when I talk it through. So the first area looks like we've got minimize guilt and we've got rediscover the sweetness of life. Minimizing guilt is about really looking at whether or not we feel guilty for the right things. And if we do, making whatever reparations we need to make or apologies, but not dwelling in this. And we have the sweetness of life, which suggests that there are many things that you can enjoy in life. These two combined make me think that many of my pile one may be around people, or even looking at cultural or political situations at the moment where they feel that they've been privileged in some way, they've been unfairly benefited in some way. You've got some issue potentially around that, or if it's not that people are making you feel guilty about something, because there isn't a sense in this that you've really done anything particularly bad. I mean, we all potentially sometimes hurt someone that we don't mean to hurt, or say something in the heat of the moment that we don't mean to say. And certainly Spirit would be saying here, if that's the case, then you can make the apologies and move on. You just look like someone who takes a lot on. You take a lot on about the world. You take a lot on about politics. You put a lot on your own shoulders, and sometimes that disconnects you from what is sweet and enjoyable in life. You're very serious in that sort of way. And I think Spirit is partly saying here, apart from the fact that you're probably taking too much responsibility for things that aren't really your responsibility or are generations old, and the best that you can do is help others and try and give back and pay it forward and all that kind of thing. If you take too much on, then you lose the joy in life. And over here we have listen to your intuition and deeper understanding. This is all about meditation and getting within. Listening to your intuition is not just about sort of out there in the meditative world and out in the universe. It's also within yourself. This card particularly asks you to have a look at what impact things in your life are having on your physical self as well as your emotional and so forth, because they're also deeply interconnected. And the deeper understanding is about going within and meditating and understanding what's going on. So I think that what we're seeing here for my pile one is that because you take on so much in your work, your your social life, your political beliefs, whatever it might be, and you carry a lot of a sense that somehow you've got more than maybe your fair share, which I don't think is true, but underneath you're always sort of concerned about social justice and about fairness and equity. It's having an effect on your energy levels. And I do think that for some of you, people are actually making you feel that way. I think for some of you, I get that there are people who like to make you feel guilty, or they're envious, or they're jealous of you in some way. But the reality is that sort of sense of social responsibility I'm getting from these cards, and that sense of putting others first, really means that you're being too hard on yourself in that case. You certainly can, if you do think that you've lashed out in the heat of the moment, you can do something to repair that and apologise. You'd be the sort of person who did. But with these energies, if that occurred and you were somewhat triggered by someone who should have known better, don't let them hold it over your head. One, because I do get a sense for some of you that you have people around you who, as I say, are either envious of you or who like to play a bit of emotional manipulation. And that's partly why I think Spirit is saying over here, get into your body, get into yourself, feel where it is that you're not feeling energetic, where you're not feeling healthy. There could be things like, look at your diet and your exercise and all that sort of thing, but a lot of this is really spiritual, and it connects to this card, which is about willpower, which is about understanding that you can have a self-directed life, but the way to do it, that we always have willpower within us. The sort of concept that, some people have more than others is not true. It's a choice to activate it. But we need to understand ourselves and how we use our energy to do it. So I do think, as I said, it's like this issue about you trying to work out whether you got more than you should have, or whether you're behaving in the way that would fit with your principles, or whatever it is, particularly if you enjoy yourself. I do think for many of you, you feel a bit guilty when you just have fun, when you take time off. Like some of you are workaholics, or as I say, so committed to a cause. But everybody needs that time out. And part of that gives you that sense to be able to self-reflect. So that's why I say the problem in a way starts here and then can be solved here, back to here, because the more that you understand what's going on, the less other people can influence you, and the less your own sort of sense of duty and obligation can. Many of you might have picked this up right from childhood. This has the energetic pattern of someone who was very mature in their family, maybe needed to be for some reason, maybe also in some families took on the scapegoat role, and you've sort of inbuilt that within yourself. But I really strongly sense that it's that very access to that kind of guilt and that understanding that actually shows that you're not really as wanting as you might sometimes think you are, and it is okay to put yourself forward and first sometimes, because you will always link it back to your willpower. So I want to use tarot to get a little bit more information on each of these things, because as I say, for some it may be separate. It may be that there is something going on right now in some of the people who've come to this reading around whether you do feel you did something that you shouldn't have done, or whether there is some sort of guilt discussion going on between you and others, or somebody sort of suggesting that you're spending too much time on yourself and not enough on the cause or something. And then there may also be an issue around getting back into your intuition and getting back to who you are. But I do think it's quite connected. But let's get some tarot for each of these potential areas to see what else Spirit can tell us. Okay, so firstly, I do think over here, for many of my pile one, there is one or more people around you, may well be a woman because it's coming up as the Queen of Swords reversed, but it doesn't have to be a woman. It could just be someone with those sort of personality tendencies who looks hypercritical, who looks like they very much use a battle of wits with people and will deflect. They're the classic person that if you were in a debate about something would deflect back on you any observations about themselves, would project that back. And there is a sense of unkindness here, but they're very clever with their words. So do be aware that that's what's going on, because you should be the Queen of Wands, but your own energy and your own drive around this is being suppressed by this critical programming. Now, it could be for some of you within yourself. It could be your own inner critic So again, if that's the case, doing this stuff over here will help you clear some of that energy. But I think for many of you, there is something going on in your career, in your family, in your relationship, in your friends. There's something going on where you are being held to a higher account than the person who's making the judgment holds themselves to. With many of you, I do feel as though it's stopping you from getting the recognition that you should get. It's like being in a workplace where it doesn't matter what you do, it's always a bit wrong or it's not quite right. And in actual fact, what you do is very, very good. But it definitely has that sort of feeling of someone who's in a workplace with a difficult boss. And it is causing you some concern. It looks like you have so much on your plate. It looks like there's just demand after demand, because here we've got the Four of Swords reversed, and really that's where you need to get. You need to get to the Four of Swords the right way around, get that time out to meditate. So if you do feel, if you stop doing whatever you're doing for a minute, you feel really guilty, this is saying you need it. You need it to be able to sustain your energy. So there's one reading for this, I think, for people who are in a difficult workplace or in very difficult personal relationships where there's at least one person who's criticizing them and debating with them all the time. And part of that is because they recognize what you have that they don't have. And part of what you need to be able to do is get within yourself and reclaim that and not let them make you feel guilty about anything. Some of you might also be in a difficult workplace, or you may be running your own business. Like, I get a sense that some of you are trying to build something and you feel like if you take any time off, then somehow you're being slack. But Spirit is saying very clearly that you do need to find wherever you can. And I know if you're in a workplace and people are demanding things of you, it can be harder than just saying, okay, take some time. But there is definitely something here that says you need to do that. You need to find some peace and quiet. You need to turn off the programming, turn off the critique, get back within yourself and reclaim who you are. So, and that will help the energy. If this is what you're trying to do in terms of a business or creative project, it will help to do that. It needs more time. If this is your creativity isn't being met, so say for argument's sake, if you were a writer and you aren't finding an agent, for instance, say they critique your work rather than take it on, then going back and taking time out and looking at it rather than feeling guilty, seeing it as a building of your craft, for instance, is another way that energy could be going on. But certainly at the moment, either yourself, your own inner critic, or somebody around you, or the culture around you is being far too critical of you. You're taking far too much on and you need to take that time out. Over here, in terms of if you do that, if you can do that, it brings things back into balance, and particularly in a mental balance. For all that you come up as the Queen of Wands here, you do operate very much on a mental level. Things need to be fair and balanced. Many of you, I think, work in some sort of cause. You have, social justice, all of those sort of things. There's something like that with many of you. And if you can get back to who you are internally, it actually gives you far more strength to get to that willpower area. So again, it's not self-indulgent. I just feel like someone's telling you it's self-indulgent. It might be you that's telling you you're self-indulgent, but you're not. This is something you need to do to refine what it is that you believe, take things forward. Because at the moment, the Ace of Wands is reversed. So there's all this energy pent up, but it's not coming out. And in fact, it can be draining out of you literally, physically, if you're not taking the time that you need. You are going to have to come out more into the world. So it's like there's a step-by-step thing here. It's like understanding you need some peace and quiet to recalibrate what you want, and then you come more out into the world with something that you're doing and dealing with others. It says that one of the things you may feel is that when you step away and you move into yourself, you're somehow abandoning people, but you won't be. This is just preparing yourself to do more. But again, there's a suppressive energy around here as well. Some of you, this is from your family. Some of this is family relationships, family programming, family control. So again, getting back to who you are and your willpower is very important. So there's the flow-on effect here that you can fix this energy up. And that's also suggesting the physical stuff. This is having a real physical effect on you in one way or another. Now, I'm not picking up something that is egregiously bad. I'm not picking up a major illness or anything like that. I'm just picking up energetic issues, things that could help around diet and exercise. And if that's a way of getting some time out, maybe that's the best thing to do, because you can go into a meditative state when you exercise, for instance. But there's something suppressing your energy, and it's all the rules and the programming that you've got. So it is connected, I believe, Pile 1. I think this is very clearly, Spirit is saying to you, don't feel so much that you have to live up to other people's expectations. You need to live up to your own, because they're high enough. Trust me, they're high enough. They're probably higher than most of the people who are critiquing you. But you do need to look after yourself, because you're meant to be a bit of a warrior. You're a bit of a spiritual or political or creative warrior in a way. And a warrior does need to rest, and a warrior does need to be clear about what they're doing. So that's very strong messaging for you. So let's ask Spirit for just a little bit more information around what they would suggest to deal with this, because I do think many of you have to navigate other people and their expectations as well as your own. Okay, so this can be a little bit hard to read. This says revival, this is ebullient, and this says impending. So I think that what Spirit is saying is that something is coming into your life that's going to trigger all of this more. You need to get ready because of something that's coming. So it may be a particular cause you need to fight for. It may be a work project. It may be something in your business. There's something that's impending. I am getting, for some of you, as a very separate thing to that sort of energy, it may be around fertility and children. It may be that for some of you, you are thinking about, do you want to have children now? Do you want to make that decision? And that may be part of what you're trying to sort out, is can you do that compared to career and so forth. It's a very specific thing, but I just got that suggests that for some of you that might be coming. And if you are giving yourself a hard time about whether you're going to be a good parent, then again, it's saying don't. The fact that you're asking that sort of issue shows that you will be, compared to those that probably just think they're going to be fine regardless. But you, again, are going to need to do stuff to support your body and support it through the changes and so forth if you're the woman. And if you're the man, or whatever gender, but if you are the parent who is giving birth, then you will need to look after your body in a particular way. And if you are the other parent, then you need to make sure that you have the energy and time to be there. So there's something there for some people. It's pretty specific, but it is there potentially. But otherwise, I think something's coming around whatever this is, whether it's your career, your creativity, your friendships, the social cause, something's coming. So Spirit very much wants you to prepare and doesn't want you stuck in your head about guilt. They want you stuck in your head about what you're trying to achieve. With revival and ebullience, so revival is very much picking up this energy. It's Spirit again saying, put some time into you. It's important to revive. The ebullience is a very expansive, warm energy. So it's saying if you do that, you're going to have so much more energy. It's exponential. If you take the time out, then you can put so much into it, and you're likely to feel less guilty. It's a cycle. It's like feeling like you can't do something for you makes your energy go lower. Understanding doing something for you brings better energy, relieves some of that feeling of not doing enough. So look at yourself as an investment, Pile 1. Look at yourself as part of the main charge on the chessboard of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And don't listen to people who want to hold you back if there is some sort of competition or battle, because if you get back to your willpower, then that won't be such an issue. So that seems to be pretty connected. I want to just pull, for finalising the reading, some astrology energy for you. Again, just to look at the things to focus on, anything else that would be helpful for you so that you can take Spirit's advice in this matter. Okay, so the first card is Saturn. This is again bringing me back to whether some of this comes from family programming, or something literally that you're dealing with around family at the moment. Saturn has a high degree of responsibility attached to it, a high degree of I must achieve, I must make things structurally right, I must get the balance right. And I think there's a Saturnian side to you, pile 1. And there's nothing wrong with the Saturnian side. We need structure. We need frameworks. We need philosophies that are rigorous and internally consistent. But when you have a high Saturn energy, and I'm speaking as someone who has a high Saturn energy, so I understand this, you do also have to know how to have a bit of fun sometimes, because you do need to find that release. So I think that's coming in. It's saying you're always going to be achievement oriented. And we have the tarot correspondence to the world, so you always complete things. If you feel like if you take a day off, something's not going to get finished, that's not the case. That is not the case for you. You will be able to complete the things that you start. You're very, very dedicated and very committed to what you do. But this also does bring sort of controlling issues towards you. So if there are people who are in your ear, there is a control mechanism behind that. And if you're more aware of that, you can reclaim your willpower. Aries is a very ambitious sign, so you are very ambitious. It also does bring power struggles sometimes, and I do think that some of you are dealing with that at the moment. The tarot card that connects to it is the Emperor. So that may suggest more of a man than a woman doing this, and it could be either, but it's just that kind of more masculine, who you are in the world type thing. I think that many of you are in something to do with a big organization or politics or something. There's like really big energy around you, and that's partly why you're feeling this responsibility. But the nice thing is we have a trine. Now a trine is an aspect of ease. So I think it's Spirit again saying that if you take this time out, things get a lot easier. Things are not as difficult as they might look at the moment, and you are far stronger than you give yourself credit for. What I want to do is I'm just going to shuffle the cards now, and then off camera I'm just going to deal them out until I get 2 planets, so that I get a sense about what are the planetary energies that Spirit is suggesting here with the trine. Just bear with me for a few moments. Sometimes it takes a little while to get planets. Which it is now. So the first is Chiron, which is actually an asteroid, but it works for this particular way of questioning it. Okay, Chiron and Jupiter. All right, so Chiron is the wounded healer. I'm not at all surprised that came up for you, because I do feel that you carry a lot on your shoulders and you do want to fix something in the world at whatever level it is. Sometimes Chiron isn't that good at healing themselves, and very much for the same reason, that you're so focused on what you're trying to achieve and do for others. So I think this is definitely saying that you need to focus on, and there is a time coming up for you now where you can focus on healing yourself and being, clear within yourself about your own strength. And we've got Jupiter, which is the great benefic. So there is definitely a sense of better fortune around you, a sense of expansion, and it's saying the same thing. It's saying if you heal yourself, you will heal others. It's exponential. It's saying it over and over and over. So if you feel like you're on a treadmill and you're always running to catch up and you've got so many responsibilities, just taking that time out, you'll find you have so much more energy to do what you need to do, and you'll achieve so much more. That's how you get the ease. What you're doing is you're almost trying to drive your car fast down the street while you're holding the handbrake on. That's the sense of Saturn versus Jupiter there. So if you take the handbrake off and you give yourself the energy that you need and the time that you need, you will achieve so much more. And if there are people who are criticizing you or trying to control you, it will be almost impossible for them to do it, pile 1. So I think you've got a lot of major things to do in the world, and I think that Spirit is really keen on you being able to do them and is very proud of you. That's a sense I get of this, pride about how much you take this responsibility on, but is worried that you put too much on yourself. So I think that's the key message for you from Spirit, and I hope that resonates for you. I hope that you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you have any comments on this, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2. The structure of this reading is going to be around the 2 key messages, 1 and 2, that Spirit wants to talk to you about, and a connecting energy, and then we'll look at some tarot and other oracles to give more information. The key thing that's coming across here for me is that you're a highly creative and highly spiritually strong person, Pile 2. there is a lot of creative energy around this. There is a lot of a message around getting into your heart's desire and the things that you really want to do, create and be in the world, and the things that give you joy. It looks as though you may have felt that you've had a blockage on that on some level. Maybe you've been struggling to bring a creative project to life. Maybe you've been feeling uninspired and a bit weighed down by all the stresses and strains of life. There's definitely a sense here that you felt maybe a little bit abandoned by your guides. You haven't been, but you may have felt that. Or that really everything is a struggle to bring into being what you want, and maybe on a day-to-day level you're doing a job you're not particularly interested in, or you're always meeting other people's expectations, and you've sort of lost the connection to your heart. There's a lot around the heart chakra here and getting into understanding what gives you joy. But what Spirit's trying to say to you is you have support. This is very literally from them, that if you open your heart chakra in particular and you open yourself up back to what you really want to do and enjoy in life, there's a rush of energy and inspiration that they want to bring to you, which creates the awakening that this card promises, bringing in creative ideas, bringing in a sense of happiness again and life purpose again. So getting back the faith that you have that. It could also be saying you literally have support around you in the material world. So it may be friends, family. It might be that if you start to reach out with whatever you want to do creatively or in your career, whatever you want to manifest, you will find people come to you. So Spirit wants you to have faith, I think. Realize that blockages that have occurred to date are of their time and are passing, and you're coming into a time where as long as you stay true to who you want to be and what you care and love about in the world, there's a profound sort of healing and reawakening for you. But Spirit is saying over here that one of the things that will help you, so this is sort of what will be done for you. There will be helpful people around you, Spirit helping you, inspiration coming to you. What Spirit wants you to do, it's like a bargain, these two, is really concentrate on what you want. So whether it's in meditation to concentrate to bring through inspiration, or whether it's just that concentration to take something from its first inspiration through to completion. So an example being, if you had an idea for a novel, it's concentrating on doing that, on the doing of the thing, and concentrating for the time period that's taken to be sustained to bring that novel from first idea to first draft to first edit to the final product. It looks as though Spirit is saying, and it may be a day job, it could be anything, that you get drawn away from what you're trying to do too often. It may be other people's demands on you. It could be anything. It could be just the speed with which information comes to us in the modern day world. There are all sorts of studies that show that the way that we interact with computers, with the internet, all that sort of thing, has almost built into us neural pathways that make us move very quickly through things. But to really bring your heart's desire in and to manifest, you have to concentrate. Concentration is also a major high magic power. It's the real engine room of manifestation. It's not that you sort of put up a vision board, have a look at it, for a couple of minutes in the morning and that's it. It's the concentration to do the work. So that's definitely there. And Spirit is saying you can transform your entire life. You can take it from whatever you're feeling stuck through to what's in your heart, but you need to concentrate on the right things. There's also an energetic belief structure that says where we put our awareness, that's where we manifest. So if you put your awareness a lot into feeling alone or not understood or not having support, then that's what you kind of create, because you have that degree of power. You actually do have that degree of spiritual ability. If you put your awareness towards concentrating on what you want to create, then you get to your heart's desire. This is very much strongly talking about your heart chakra. So if you do any healing, or if you know anybody that can help you with healing around heart chakra, this will help as well. But beyond that, you can just go within and say, what is it that I really love? What is it that I really love? And from that, you start to work out how to transform your life. So let's have a look at some tarot for a little bit more information on each of these things. Like hopefully a little bit more information on why you've maybe felt you didn't have support, and maybe some extra advice from Spirit about how to build that concentration to bring all that energy in for you, pile 2. So firstly, I think for many of my pile two, part of the reason that heart is coming up is that I think for some of you, your disappointment of more recent times or your feeling of a lack of support might be around a romantic relationship, might have been around someone that you loved, maybe someone that you wanted to have a longer term relationship, someone that you saw as maybe a soul twin, something like that. And it looks as though there's been some disappointment around that. It doesn't necessarily mean it couldn't resolve. With both the ace and the two here, even though we've got the 5 of cups, there is a sense that there's something still potentially there, but there's something around authority that is having an impact. So whether it's that you've met somebody in a workplace and there are issues around being in a relationship in a workplace, or whether there are authority figures around either you or someone else. You might be in a family, you might be quite young and you might be in a family that would not approve of the love that you have for somebody or something like that. So there's something like that that makes you feel not supported, the foundation around it, but it's about love. If it isn't a person, then it is about something creative. It's something that you really cherish, something that you have had the inspiration for, but taking it past the 5, because when you talk about tarot and you talk about any of the suits, there is sort of a natural ebb and flow that occurs through from 1 to 10. And at 1 and 2, we're just sort of starting to see the thing and have belief in it. When we hit 5, we've had almost the getting of wisdom where we understand not everything is as simple as we thought, and we can get stuck in that. But there's always a couple of cups still standing up. So I think that's relating to the 2 cups here. That's why I feel like something, a relationship or a long-held cherished dream creatively does not need to be abandoned, but you do need to find different support, because there's some sort of controlling energy around this that is making you feel that you can't have what you want to have. And Spirit is saying you could, whether it's literally the person that you have or whether that person is a idea of what's coming through for you later. I don't know, will depend upon different people for different readings, but it's something around love, and that's why the heart is so important. And don't close off your heart. If you have been disappointed in love more recently, and maybe that's even you going into the, well, I'll just concentrate on my work then, I won't concentrate on what I care about. Spirit doesn't want you to do that. Over here and what to concentrate on, it looks like this is picking up again. I do think that many of you, something in this is around your day job or your career or the expectations of structured society compared to who you are and what you want to be. So some of the concentration is on understanding, I think, that and not allowing the drama of it to get to you. There is certainly a sense that you can move forward with this. There's that sense that there is a capacity to move forward, but it is connected as well to something in your past. So I do think for many of you, there's something about family. There's something about family or cultural expectations, and concentrating on understanding that and separating yourself, finding a space for yourself is the important thing here. So some of you, it may be literally just that there is so much going on in your work life that you can't get to the heart of what you want to do. But I do think for others, there's something to do with patterns from the past that you're caught in that make you feel unsupported and make you feel different. But Spirit is saying if you find that meditative space within yourself and you concentrate, you can create whatever you want. You can bring in the love that you want. You can bring in the job that you want. You can create whatever it is that you want. But it's getting back in touch with that sort of energy that's what's important. So let's get a little bit more oracle information for you, pile 2. Okay, so the first card is an astrological card. It says Pisces. So you may have Pisces strongly in your chart, sun, moon, ascendant, or many planets in Pisces if you've seen your chart. You may not. It doesn't have to be. It could also be if this is about a relationship that the other person had that. Pisces is very empathic and it very much lives within their heart. It's a water sign. It's very psychic. So I think that is picking up the intuitive download that you could get from Spirit if you go back to believing in yourself and believing in what you love. But this is also saying, this is why I get a sense that if you feel something needs to be abandoned, it probably doesn't, because we have acumen and preserve here. So that suggests that you do in fact have have the ideas and the way to navigate whatever these more controlling elements are in your life. You have the acumen to deal with that. If you are caught in a workplace, for instance, you know how to navigate that. It might be frustrating, but you know how to navigate it. And Spirit is saying because of that, you can preserve what matters to you. So that, I think, is Spirit very much saying, you have the support that you need. You just need to use your acumen, concentrate on what you can do now and not so much on what the limitations are. And that helps to bring the energy through for you. So let's finish with a bit more astrology information just to see if there's any more advice Spirit wants to give you about this. I just think you've got something, a relationship or a creative project or something like that, that runs against the grain in some way, to your family, to your work, whatever it might be. But it's what's true to your heart. And once you get to that and you concentrate on how you preserve and build that, really nothing can stop you, pile 2. So let's just get some closing astrological information for you. Okay, so firstly we have fire signs, which is picked up twice because we've also got Sagittarius there. That's passion. If it's around love, it's about creativity, and I think it's one or either for most of the people who've come to this reading. It could be that you or other people around you have fire signs strongly, so that's Aries, Leo or Sagittarius. It's spontaneous, it's assertive, it's imaginative, it's creative. So this is why I feel like something that's weighed you down or restricted you and made you feel like you don't have support, just reawakening that, you will find you have far more power to manifest than you think. Libra suggests to me that justice is coming firstly to you if you have been held back, because the tarot card Justice is there. There's something that's going to help balance this. I think this is why Spirit is saying they are supporting you. So don't feel alone if you do. Its celestial body is Venus. So again, it connects maybe back to a love relationship for many of the people who come here. But it gives you the diplomacy, which connects to the acumen to be able to navigate whatever this is. And then Sagittarius, the tarot card for that is Temperance. So again, balance. We're getting intellectual balance and we're getting kind of emotional balance as well. So a philosophical wisdom and then an overall wisdom coming from that. Its celestial body is Jupiter, so that is the great benefic. That shows a lot of expansion for you and better optimism. So I think Spirit says if you move out of the sense of lack and into the sense of control that you can have, then everything starts to open up for you. But I'm just going to go back again to the heart chakra. Make sure it's something that you love and you care about and you're true to that. And then that unlocks an extremely powerful manifestation ability that you have, pile 2. So that's pretty heavy in a way. So I hope that is helpful and that it gives you the encouragement and the support that you need, because I think really there's so much that you can do. I do hope that you enjoyed the reading, and if so, please like the video and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if this is resonating, what it means to you. I'd love to hear about that. Other than that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. The structure of this reading is the first column is the first area of energetic contemplation the Spirit wants to talk to you about. This is the second, and this is something that bridges it, and then we'll look at tarot. So the interesting thing about this is I think these two are very much connected, and this is telling us how. So let me explain. On this side, Spirit is talking to you about contemplating death and beyond. And I know that sounds a little bit scary, but it's not about you're about to die or anything like that. It's about understanding that we are living creatures going through transformation all the time. So I have a sense with this and also over there that many of my pile 3 are transforming their lives in some way at the moment. And it may be about changing sort of habits with your health. It might be emotional patterning. It could be anything. It could be moving out of a relationship that hasn't been working for you. It could be anything, but there's a lot of transformation. And what this Spirit is saying is that is part of what life is, and it's part of the cycle of life. And if we understand that and we can let go of things, then we move forward more freely and we're more attuned to our spiritual purpose and our ultimate happiness. I remember hearing an interview once with somebody talking about the samurai, and they apparently what they would often do is that each morning they would meditate and contemplate their own death, contemplate that they were dead, not in the sense of you're going to die tomorrow or anything like that, but the concept that we are part of such a huge, huge continuum. And at times we are in life and we are building and growing, and at other times we are transforming and shedding, gave them that perfect courage to then be who they were and to operate with honour and ethics. So there's a little bit of an energy around this. But what this is really picking up, because of some of the other stuff here and this card here, this card is saying good luck is coming to you. And over here we have breaking addiction and being happy in your differences, and then the conscious words. In total, this looks to me like there is something about you that you felt was different, that stood apart, that maybe wasn't accepted, whether it was in your family, your friendships, your work, whatever it might be. But Spirit wants you to embrace what is different about you and break the addiction. I mean, some of you, there may be, and if it resonates, if you're having an unhealthy diet or using substances that aren't helping you, then Spirit definitely wants you to have a look at that, because it may be that you're doing that to cover up this feeling of being separated or isolated or different in some way. Spirit wants you to actually break the addiction of seeing yourself as somehow lesser, because you're not lesser, and your capacity to transform brings in luck for you. But conscious words, that's the thing that connects the two of these, I think, because conscious words is about the programming we have and the things that we say. So if you have felt out of step with people, if you have felt controlled in some way, if you have felt that you wanted to turn down the dial on who you were compared to others, then there will be something in the way that you speak about yourself, speak about life. And Spirit is saying that's very powerful. It's creating that sense in you. So if it's I'm different, I'll never fit in, the reality is I'm different, and you shift that. You go, I'm different, and that's wonderful, because I can be so much more than many people around me. So you shift the way that you think about things, you shift the way you speak about it. Energetically, that helps you go through whatever changes you're going through at the moment. And some of you, it might be fairly significant. Some of you may have, as I say, left a relationship, had family issues and had to strike out on your own, dealt with major conflicts and so forth in the workplace. But there's something in the way you talk about yourself that makes you feel like you're not lucky, or you can't bring luck in. But Spirit is saying you actually can. If you understand this as a growth and a owning of yourself, then you can move forward. So let's use some tarot to see a little bit more about the specifics of each of these two things. Even though, as I say, I think they're very much connected, I still want to see a little bit more information about why Spirit is wanting you to think about contemplating transformation and bringing luck in, and why Spirit wants you to break patterns and addictions that seem to be arising from feeling that you aren't good enough, or you're out of step in some way. Okay, so firstly over here, in terms of the transformation, some of the transformation for you is around love, what you love, loving of yourself, loving of others. It may even be being triggered at the moment by a new relationship coming in. The good luck that could be coming in could be a new relationship, with, when it's paired with the star there, can give a lot of hope and happiness to you. So I think that Spirit is saying, when that comes in, and that's a transformative energy, to let that in. Don't go into a battle stage. It looks as though maybe in past relationships you've always been battling, particularly around philosophies and attitudes and the way that you're described or thought about, or the way that you talk about yourself and relationships. So there's an opportunity with this to break that pattern and to break the drama that you put around things, because it's like there's been too much drama around who you are in some way in your life, and you can shift that and start to use the words that bring in the luck, because something's coming. I do think there's a new relationship or a new opportunity of some sort that is creative or emotionally resonant for you, and which gives you a renewed sense of hope. And Spirit very much wants you to live into that sense, wants to make you understand that hope is okay, that you aren't going to keep repeating cycles. I think that's the point of that initial card. It's if something comes to you and you think, if you go into the words to go, well, it didn't work last time, it's not going to work this time, you don't unlock the star energy. But if you can just be open to it, then a lot of that philosophical drama can push away, because Spirit is saying something good is coming for you. It may already have arrived and you may know what it is. If not, it's coming for you in the very near future. Over here around the addictions and patterning around feeling different, Spirit is firstly saying a different perspective. With the Hanged Man, always it's really saying a different perspective about yourself and about the circumstances will help. I do think for many of you this has impacted your career or how you wanted to make money and be in the world on that material level. It may even be that for some of you it's been, I'm getting a very specific thing here, that for some of you it might have been sort of at school, college, university, that you went against the grain around whatever craft or study that you were doing. You have a very different perspective, and that's actually good. It's actually good because it's very clever. You're very clever. But I think that you might have been in situations where that cleverness was seen as being confrontational, for instance. It was suppressed by people. And I think you've got into the pattern of thinking, well, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe my ideas aren't right, or maybe I'm too different. And Spirit is saying, no, get a different perspective, realise and own that Queen of Swords energy. When Queen of Swords works really positively, she is so sharp, she is so clear on who she is and what she believes. And that's using that energy positively. So I think a new perspective, and maybe it's going to be helped by someone coming into your life. It may be romantic, it may just be a friendship, but someone who really gets you and brings you into a different community or a different way of looking at things. But you do, Spirit is saying that this pattern of feeling different and trying to anesthetize that in some way has come from something in the material world, something in trying to fit in with the material structures of the world in some way. And it is also saying it's having an effect on your health. Not a hugely bad effect, but it is suppressing your energy. It is maybe making you feel more tired or lethargic than the Queen of Swords wants to be, certainly. But again, it all comes back to this. It comes back to rewiring what you say about things, and that starts to shift the energy for you. So let's have a look at some more oracle information for you, pile 3. Okay, so I'll go firstly to this. So this is Virgo, so that's an astrological thing. You may have Virgo strongly in your chart. You could be Sun, Moon, Ascendant. You don't have to be. You might have it strongly in your chart and a number of planets, and if you don't know your chart, you may not know. Virgo is very fastidious. Virgo is very material. It's bringing up again that kind of sense of being true to yourself and true to your own beliefs in a very material way and giving you the capacity to do that. Some of you may worry far too much, actually. Virgo can be the classic sign for obsessive compulsive disorder where I have this a bit, for instance, because I have Virgo strong in my chart where, I have to check that I've locked the door about 5 times before I go to bed at night and that kind of thing. So there may be a little bit of that with you too, which is around the programming. And that might be affecting, you may feel you're different on that level. You may in fact have a different way of thinking, a different structure of thinking. Some of you may have different sort of neural pathways and different ways of learning, and you might have had issues, actually, I'm getting some of you with learning, for instance, because of that. But Virgo gives you the capacity, particularly with the Queen of Swords connecting to it, to find your own structures and find your own patterns and so forth. And maybe eventually to realise that everybody's a bit different in reality, that probably the most unusual person on earth is the one who fits every norm. It really, we are all pastiches of so many different energies and so many different characteristics. The other 2 cards here I think are incredibly positive. Firstly, we have revival. So I think Spirit is saying something's coming, someone or something is coming, and it's not far off, and it's really going to really make you test these patterns that you have and really look at the world differently, because you should be boundless. Like whatever it is that's different about you, pile 3, is expansive. It's something that was meant to be, that you were meant to bring to the world in whatever level that means to you. It's something that the world needs. It's something that helps the exponential growth of the world in its own way. So you are meant to be boundless. You are meant not to be constricting yourself, and you are able to change and be flexible and move with the energies around you. So I think Spirit very much wants you to give up anything that looked negative about that and to start to embrace and celebrate what's different about you. So to finish off, I want to use some astrology cards from a specific astrology deck just to see what last advice Spirit would give you to really take advantage of what's coming in, because I am absolutely certain something good is coming in for you in the very near future if it hasn't already arrived. Okay, again, this is making me think for a lot of you it's going to be about a relationship, and a majorly transformative relationship. Pluto is the planet of transformation. It's also the planet that empowers you. So going through that transformation empowers you. So I think that's connecting back to this. Pluto is in a sense like the underworld. Pluto as a Greek or Roman god was the god of the underworld. So again, there's that sense there. There might be something a bit shamanic about you actually, Pole 3, some of you, I think. Some of what might be different. And literally some of you, some of that kind of addictive energy and what's different, some of you may have had experiences with shamanic sort of chemicals and that kind of thing. And if that's the case, that's a very structured, ordered way of doing things, and that's fine. But there is something about getting in touch with that transformation. But it's also because it's connected to Venus, which makes me think of love. Again, there's a transformative love coming, I think, for many of you. And if it's not a person, if it's not a relationship, then you're getting back to the heart of who you are and what you love, rather than thinking about how you're different or whether you can have it. Lastly, we have Taurus. So you may well be Taurus. Again, it's a bit like the Virgo. There's very earthy energy here around this. It may also be picking up, again, you taking the transformative energy of what you love into the material world. Taurus is also, it's the tarot card is the Hierophant. So it is looking at established structure versus who you are truly authentically. So I think it's saying you have the power to stand up to that if you need to. And it's also a very sensual, lover of wine and food and fun. So there's a really earthy, pleasurable energy around this as well too, which says, that you can enjoy yourself more, and that actually starts to heal some of that negative talk as well. So I think something very transformative is coming to you in the very near future if it hasn't already. I think it's being sent to you specifically as support from Spirit so that you can contemplate who you truly are, because it is unusual, but it's unusual in a really good way. And if you felt that it wasn't, then in fact, that's not the case. Who you are matters. It matters to you, and I think in many cases you may in fact be a bit of a signpost for others about diversity and all of that sort of thing as well, and about being true to yourself. So I think Spirit wants you to understand you're going through an alchemical transformative process, and you can let go of anything negative in terms of addictions that may be physical, or I think with most of you it's much more around addictions to ways of thinking and ways of thinking about yourself, and to move into something that is far more positive. So I'm actually very optimistic for you, Pole 3. I think this is a really powerful spread of cards for you, and I do wish you well. I hope that you enjoyed the reading, and if so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you have any comments on this, I'd be fascinated to hear about it in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.